Levi Ackerman's story begins in the shadows of the world he was born, into a world governed by violence, poverty, and betrayal. His mother, Kukul, was a woman of few words, her life an endless cycle of hardships, hidden from the prying eyes of the aristocracy. She never spoke of Levi's father, a man whose name was known only in whispers. To Levi, the absence of a father was as natural as the call of the wind. But deep within him, a gnawing emptiness pushed him to seek answers. The early years of his childhood were spent in the grim, cluttered streets of the underground city. He was no stranger to violence. Levi's world was a place where life was cheap, where people fought tooth and nail for scraps of survival, and death was often a mere misstep away. His mother did her best to shelter him, but she was only human. On his 10th birthday, Levi's life would change forever. It was a rainy night, and the air was thick with the smell of decay. A group of men, merciless, greedy, came to claim what was left of his mother's dignity. Kukul had debts she could not pay. Levi, though small, knew how to fight. The memories of the beatings his mother had endured, the silent cries she'd stifled, had forged a silent rage inside him. But that night he was too late. His mother fell, blood staining the floor beneath her. In the chaos that followed, Levi's young hands became stained with the blood of the men who had come for her. It was the first time he had killed cold, without hesitation and without remorse. The fear and sorrow in his chest twisted into something darker. From that moment forward, he was not the same child. The innocence was gone, stripped away by violence, and he became a product of his environment. But it wasn't just rage that shaped Levi. There were moments of tenderness, small glimmers of light. Among the violence and fear, he found someone who made him feel something beyond the crushing weight of survival, a young girl named Furlan, who was a part of the same broken world as him. She was quiet, resilient, and fiercely loyal. They formed a bond, a strange family of sorts, forged in the flames of their shared suffering. Yet even in those rare moments of peace, betrayal lurked at the edges. One fateful evening, Levi discovered Furlan's secreta pact she had made with a higher power to secure a future beyond the underworld. She had agreed to betray him, to sell him out in exchange for a chance at freedom. The betrayal shattered something deep inside Levi. The love he had felt for her twisted into bitterness, and his trust in people, in connections, died that night. With nowhere else to turn, Levi embraced his isolation. The streets became his only family, the bitter cold his only companion. The loneliness became his strength, and his bitterness a weapon. He sharpened his skills, becoming a ruthless fighter, a shadow in the night, a killer whose name would strike fear into anyone who dared cross him. Levi Ackerman's story was far from over, but in the dark, silent corners of his heart, the scars of betrayal, violence, and lost love would remain, waiting to define the man he was to become. And soon his path would cross with a group of soldiers who would unknowingly become the closest thing to a family he had ever known.